It was 2010, um, January 17th, like I said, and as we were talking about, I was fresh out of college, had to kind of started a new job really 2 weeks in, and night out. One of my buddies that was living in New York at the time came down with one of his friends, and then my roommate in Conshohocken, right outside of Philadelphia, was with me. We went downtown, Philadelphia, took the train, bar hopped a little bit, and then bars let out. It's like 2 a.m. and we're looking for a cab. At that time, my one friend jumps up on scaffolding next to a building. He starts trying to do pull-ups. Skinny guy. He's actually a guy who played goalie with me in college. So, we're all laughing, having a good time. Girl jumps up. She starts doing pull-ups. We think we're having a good time. Guy comes up, starts yelling at her, starts yelling at my friend, and then that's when my roommate that I was living with came from over the side and starts yelling at him. They go back and forth, start yelling at each other. You know, I wasn't thinking too much of it. Like I said, there was cops at every street corner, so
Yeah.
you don't really think too much of it. And then all of a sudden, the guy's got a gun out and he's pointed it at my friend, and that's when I started paying attention. And I was like, whoa, 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 man, come on, like, what are you doing? And then
Right.
I asked that bad question, you know, who you going to shoot? And that's when he got me once here in the hand, once in the clavicle, and then four more times in the stomach. Immediately, I couldn't really feel my legs. And later, I've learned that I had a bullet in my spinal nerves, which still resides there. I had later on, I got a couple bullets pulled out of my upper back, but I still have the bullet in my clavicle. I still have the bullet in my spinal nerves. And, I had 20 plus surgeries. They had to remove a lot of my intestine, fist-sized piece of my liver, half of my right lung, and I died on the operating table twice. Uh,
Uh, I was
so
just about to ask, like, was there a point where they're like, "Hey, we don't know if he's gonna make it," kind of thing to your family?
Yeah,
Wow.
flatlined a couple times, and then even in one of the other surgeries, I aspirated. So when they put me under, really like fluid got on my lungs,
Wow.
and when that happens, typically that goes up to the brain. So I had been intubated, so there was stuff over my mouth, and I really couldn't speak that well, so they didn't know if I had brain damage or not. And that's
Yeah.
typically what happens when you aspirate. So I can still remember that, like coming out of surgery, coming out of that anesthesia, and feeling like I couldn't breathe. And I was in the hospital for over 100 days. Then I went to a rehabilitation facility that I did for another 8 weeks, where I had to learn to kind of walk, and then I had to do a day hospital, that was basically 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day, trying to strengthen. And to this day, I still have a limp. I have a foot drop, so I have paralysis all through my legs, and I don't have any ankle flexion on my left leg.
Wow, man. I literally can't even imagine what something like that. That kind of pain and just recovery. I mean, that has to be years of recovery, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I still go from the perspective like I'm still recovering. Like every time I work out, every time I lift, time I train legs, it's like an opportunity for me to get better. And I'm still super hopeful as we are in this medical technology era of
Yeah.
the different things that stem cells, Neuralink, whatever it may be, that maybe I will get back my normal gait, my normal walk. Maybe I'll be able to run again one day. But
Yeah.
ultimately, just being upright is good enough for me.
Absolutely, man. Man, I'm so thankful that you were able to pull through. And really, I'm a believer in God. I think that was all God right there pulling you through, and ultimately, you had the strength within you. And I think you being a D1 athlete probably had a lot to do with the recovery as well. I like to think that
Yeah,
just because I'm sure you were in really good shape around that time.
100%. That they always told me that, and that's why I also was be able to recover quicker and be able to, because there was when I was in the rehabilitation facility, it was a spinal cord injury wing. So a lot of people with gunshot wounds, and some people had same stuff with me. as me,
Wow.
but older, not in good shape, and they were stuck in wheelchairs. So like I was blessed that I was 24, I was healthy at that point, and still had a lot of strength. And then it really came down to in the recovery process, I got a lot of therapy, but then also because I had that background in working out, in doing all of that, I was able to push myself and do some stuff that maybe I didn't have the clearance for at that time, but
Yeah.
I was still trying to push myself, and it worked out.
Yeah.
So, but I also think if I wasn't doing that kind of stuff, I might have been stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, man. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think, well, one, I wish I paid attention more in school. I wish I was really focused on that, and I'm really focused on like future. At that time, through college and everything like that, the only things that were on my mind were sports, girls, and like partying.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple. And I look back, and we met at the 10X event, and I worked with a lot of guys that were in that 20 to 24-year-old range, and they were guys like so focused on career and like bettering themselves already. And
Yeah.
I look back at stuff like that, and I'm like, man, I wish I had that mindset then. So I wish I
Totally.
could have told myself, like, think about it, think about who you want to be, and who you want people to know you as,
Yeah.
rather than kind of just being, you know, in partying,
Yeah. Just
24
kind of in
seven.
the mix.
Yeah,
I would
get
say
out,
in the
get out of
mix.
the mix a little bit. Yeah, think a
Yeah.
little
I
bit,
mean,
read a little bit more, write a little bit more. Do other things.
yeah, I can really relate to that. I would say I have a similar past as far as like in college. I just really was focused on the wrong things. I wasn't thinking about what I'm doing now. Is how is it going to affect my future, or is
Mm,
it even aligning with what I want to do in the future?
yeah.
And so no, that's big. And you said you played at Villanova.
Yep.
Nice. So did you graduate from Villanova?
Yeah, graduated Villanova in 2009. I got my criminal justice degree. And then, after everything happened, and before I went back to teaching, I went back to Villanova in 2014, did a year program, got a master's in education. And
Wow.
yeah, so I had the
Man,
master's in education, and that's when I started. With that, I got my teaching certificate as well. So that's when I got certified and went out teaching. Yeah.
man. So, being that you were a D1 athlete for 4 years, you said you were captain of the team for two
hmm
years.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give a kid coming out of high school, maybe last year in high school, looking to set themselves up for success for D1 sports or even just college sports? Because it's another level. It's a probably like 3 or 4 levels up from high school, whatever they're doing in high school.
100%. I mean, it's got to be all in. And even that, I feel like, I talked about my younger self. I wish I was like more out of the mix, and I wish I was more out of the mix, at that time. But I'll tell you what, like I did show up every day at practice. I did show up on the things that I needed to do. I wish my time away from the team was more concentrated on those things, but when it came to play, and I took that very serious. So continue training all the times in the gym, all the times in the conditioning, all the times, and even just film watching and study
Yeah,
and looking at your playbook. I mean, that is the important stuff, and having that mental aspect, but also that conditioning to be able to play. I mean, I look back still, and I probably played. I had some party weight on me, and I probably played a little bit too heavy. And I wish, see what all I could have done maybe if I was in better shape and took better
yeah,
care of myself. And so that's what I would say to younger guys. I mean, be all in, but like you
yeah.
know, take care of yourself, and don't get lost in the sauce.
Man, that you hit it on the head. Don't get lost in the sauce. I mean, you can't really be a captain without being on top of it. So you definitely were obviously doing something above and beyond. But
hmm
I agree with you. It's that time when you're away from the team, that time where it's really your personal time. It's like, what are you doing with it? Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff. How do you define success, and has that changed over the years for you?
Oof. That's so funny, man. I'm currently working on a book, and this is a little bit of what I
Oh wow.
wrote about. And you know, I think at that time, when I was young, like I said, I didn't have that idea of future. I didn't have that idea of like what success meant to me. And then as I got into life, or who I thought was successful, I think it was more material
Yeah.
items, and it was the money. And it's sometimes still get caught up in that, but really the definition to success for me, and the thing I was reiterating as I was writing, is that I am a success because I am here today. And I look at it. The guy who shot me, he's since passed away. My best friend that got in the argument with him, he has since passed away. So the two people that were involved in the situation before I was, they are gone. And for whatever reason, the guy that should have died, the guy that got hit with bullets, is not. And
Yeah.
so I
For real.
look at that, and that's a success. That's that I can make it through each day, and that I I live with my beautiful girlfriend. I have a family that loves me. Those
Yeah.
That's success to me now. Everything else is sprinkles on the donut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it is success to me, and success for if I was talking to a younger self, like it
Yeah.
you know it's going to be your own definition, but you look past the glam and the glitz that you'll see on Instagram and see what's going to fulfill you and make you happy.
Yeah.
And that's going to be that success. And that's going to be for you personally, and it doesn't have to align with any other person other than you.
I love that, man. I think we're in an era now. It's probably always been there, especially now with social media, where it's like, oh, you're not successful unless you have X amount of money. You're not successful unless you have this car or that. And
Mhm.
if you woke up today, it's a success. You know what I mean? So you have life ahead of you.
100%, man. And every 24 hours you have, there is an infinite amount of things that you can do, or things that can happen on a day to day. You
Yeah.
talking about faith based, and there are, I think, incidents and situations that occur that can only be explained by a God above every 24 hours. And I think when you switch that perspective and think about it like that, there you never know what's going to be around the corner, and just being able to live in that moment and be there
Yeah.
is the blessing in itself.
Yeah, man. I agree 100%. What daily habits or routines have contributed most to your success?
um, Good question. For a long time, I got into bodybuilding. I've stepped on bodybuilding stages before and
Oh
competed.
wow.
And so from that, I got really into waking up 4 a.m. and I would do cardio, and I thought that was good. And what it was good. And I
Yeah.
still do that. I'm up at 3:45. But what really is a game changer for me is a book by a guy named Hal Elrod. And Hal Elrod, he was a salesperson over at, remember Cutco Knives? They're still
Yeah.
around, but he was like a top sales guy there, got in a big car accident. But as he recovered and got better, he started, figuring out ways that work for him. And his acronym is a thing called SAVERS, SAVERS. So, so starts with silence. So silence the mind, being able to clear your head.
Right.
Then it goes through affirmations. So affirming who you are, what you want to do,
Yep.
visualization, really what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. Then that exercise part, which I was getting before, but in connection with everything else, it really kind of takes it over the edge. Then reading, which was not a big part of my life until probably 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Now I love to read. I'm constantly reading, but something I wish I picked up earlier. And then finally, that last S is scribing, so writing. And for me, I have a kind of guided journal, but the biggest part of the scribing, whatever there's going to be always different thoughts that come through my mind or things that, but the number one thing I always mention is what I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
And when I practice that gratitude in the morning, I can't have a bad day, and you can't be upset. You can't be going crazy about all the other noise outside when you're being grateful about something.
Man, yeah, that's beautiful. What was that? You said Al
Hal,
Hal.
Hal, and then his last name's Elrod, Elrod, and the book is called Miracle Morning.
Miracle Morning.
Yeah, and it's a funny story because I was always, like I said, I was waking up early and working out, and a guy I went to college with, he became a dentist, and he ended up opening a shop in South Philadelphia, and
Mm.
I went in for teeth cleaning. Now he's a guy who, awesome guy, got into ultra marathon running, and we would always kind of riff back and forth about life and stoic philosophy and different things like that we were using as motivation. And then I came in one day and he's like, I got something for you. So I was sitting in the chair and he handed me this book. I thought it was cool. I was like, whatever, like I'm already kind of doing stuff in the morning. Like I'm not, a lazy person, whatever, but all
Yeah.
the other aspects of it, when in, take the exercise out of the way, and like all the other stuff is like almost probably more important. But
Yeah. Sure.
and it sounds like a lot, and everybody can kind of get caught up in that. But really, he even mentions it in the book. You can do it, each of those things for just 1 minute, as long as
Yeah.
you do a minute of all those things, which you can knock out in 6 minutes, and like you can change your whole perspective and change your whole day just from that.
That's so real, man. I've run into a lot of people where just in general talking to people, and it seems like they stress on things instead of kind of focusing on what they can do in their inner self. There's a
Hmm.
lot of distractions around us, and like you said, that first one, silence. I like that, where it's just like, hey, man, be still and really just take in what's going on and being grateful, waking up and showing gratitude. There's no way you could have a bad day if you're like, you know what, I'm grateful for what I have right here. You can always aspire to want more, but
Yeah.
be grateful for what you have.
100%. And like, yeah, man, I mean, I'm definitely guilty of it too, like of thinking of all these other things. But thing my dad always used to harp on me growing up, like only focus on the things that you can control.
Yeah.
Now as we get older and adults and all the million things that happen, it's tough to differentiate what you can versus what you can't. But you got to really focus on that and focus on those things that you can do to change your day. So yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man. So that kind of goes right to the next question. How do you stay grounded in the middle of chaos, noise, or misinformation?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, One thing I've been, been going through some stuff even recently, and something that's been working for me a lot is more of that prayer. So more of that
Yeah.
quiet time, that silence, but also kind of feeding it up. And like, once again, it goes back to that things you can control. Like there's somebody up there far greater than me that
Yeah.
is really kind of pulling the strings or knows and has a plan. And I
Yeah.
have to just worry on what I can do on the day to day and just hope that I'm walking on that path.
Yep.
So prayer helps for me. Exercise is a huge part of it. If I wasn't exercising every day, my mind would be crazy. Um,
Right.
and then that writing it out too when things are really spinning in my head, kind of just writing it out, putting it on paper. And then
Yeah.
sometimes you get so focused or angry or upset about a certain situation and you write it out and then you read it back. And sometimes you realize, hey, this is really not that important, or this is really stupid. I don't know why I'm so upset by that. Like this
Yeah.
person did X, Y, Z to me, but like that's more a reflection of them than it is me, or I can be upset and everything like that, but I gotta just let that go. So you can write it out. I mean, that is something that Abe Lincoln used to do. He used to write out these nasty grams letters to people,
Oh
and
wow, I didn't know that.
he put it in his desk though. He never sent them out, just put it in his desk and move on. But he wrote it out, put
Yeah.
it everything that he didn't like, or wanted to say to the person and then just kind of let it sit. And he had it, but never sent it to the person.
I like that. Like really get it out of your brain. I mean, and
Hmm.
when you write it down, that's essentially what you're doing.
Hmm. Oh, I mean, it really is funny, like reading stuff back after you write it that
Yeah,
seems so important, or is a make or break for you, and it's like this is not gonna change a thing in my next 24 hours.
right, right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Who or what inspires you to keep showing up?
Hmm. Um, I mean, I got to say, yeah, I'm very blessed in that there's a lot of people. I would say number one, my dad. I mean, my dad
Yeah,
is my best friend and probably my hero. And to this day, I still think he's probably the smartest guy I ever met in my life. And you
that's
see
awesome.
it more and more as you're an adult, how much more he was right than he was wrong.
Mm,
Even though I definitely we similar personalities, and we battled when I was in high school, when I was in college, and you know, but he definitely inspires me. I mean, I watched everything that he did. I mean, he came out of South Philly. He went to law school. Raised me and my sisters. Yeah, I mean, he he's the man. And a great example, and a guy that just he grinded. I watched him, the hours that he put in through the week, weekends, whenever, but somehow, some way, he appeared at my games always.
wow.
So,
Yeah.
and
Even when you thought he might not make it or something, you're like, oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah, and I mean, it's funny. I don't have any kids, and I think about it now, and like, there's so many things that I think in my work that, like, how do you even do that? Like, I think I don't have that many responsibilities, to be honest.
Right.
And there's like a lot of things that I feel like I miss or don't show up for, and it's like I feel like always, how do I have this kind of excuse? Because somehow he was making it to everything.
Man, that's awesome. I think I feel like I was blessed as well to have a father who is just present. I think that's
Hmm.
that's big for any kid, and also for kids that may not have a father, finding somebody that they can trust into. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I think it'd be awesome to get into like a mentorship role. I could see you being like a mentor. You probably already are to a few, if not.
That's that. I mean, that's how I got into, teaching, coaching. I coached, from high school all the way probably into my, 30s or early 30s. I would mentor at the McGee Rehab in Philadelphia where I recovered. So, and still to this day, they'll give me a buzz on like a Zoom call, but I'm far away, so I don't
Yeah.
get as many as I used to. But now that's why I'm trying to sign up to this. I had to just go through the approval process at Ability 360, which is like a Paralympic hospital out here, which is like, I mean, you got to see this facility. It's incredible. But
Right.
yeah, got connected through some people that I do Toastmasters, which is all about getting better at public speaking and writing
Right.
speeches.
Yeah.
And, somebody connected me over there. I'm actually a mentor, a lady named Connie. She connected me over there, and hopefully I'll be working with some people there. But I mean, I honestly, I don't think that there's anything that I really get more joy out of.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, like, you're the mentor and you're supposed to be helping them. I always feel like every time that I do it, I probably get more back than because you just realize everything, and you see the perspective from their eyes, and
Yeah.
realize, like, oh man, like I made it through this and this, like, and they're still all the way back. And there's a lot of people I think in life that they're like, I wish I could go back. I wish, and like I look at it and I hear those kinds of perspectives. And I'm like, no, I don't wish I would go back. I'm glad I made it through the first time.
Yeah.
So so
Absolutely.
yeah, so it is. It's always great to talk to somebody, and then knowing you help somebody is awesome.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's beautiful. What's one conversation you think everyone should have this year?
One conversation. I not anything specific, but it's the conversation that you don't want to have.
Hmm.
So it's probably with the person that you've been afraid to, or if there's somebody that you want to reach out to
Yeah.
as a mentor, or if there's if it is a family member that you haven't spoken to, if it is a
Hmm.
cousin, if it is an old friend, whatever it is, it's like that conversation that is probably sitting somewhere on your heart, and you're not doing it. I always
Yeah.
think that if those are the things that eat you up, and those are the things that like when you have things like that sitting on you, it can contribute to health and all sorts of issues. And just have the conversation, do it.
Yeah, it could slow you down essentially.
Hmm.
I feel like I think that's a really good one. I feel like everybody has a conversation that they're probably not hiding from, but not necessarily going out their way to have. It's like,
Hmm.
man, go ahead and get it taken care of. And I learned this in the sales world. They're like, hey, your first call of the day should be the call you don't want to make. You know what I mean? Go ahead and
100%. I mean, if there's, you get an email, you get a call, and there's a person that is upset, and you don't want to, but until you do that call, all your other calls aren't going to be good. And until you get that thing off your mind, you're only going to be focused on that subconsciously, but it's going to sit on you. So yeah, 100% right. And and sometimes those turn into the best calls. You're thinking walking into a rattlesnake, and all of a sudden, you can flip it, turn it around, and then all of a sudden you have momentum, and that strings you up for the day.
yeah, man, exactly. What's one place in the world that changed you the most, and why?
A place in the world that changed me the most?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I mean, I guess there's a lot of, individual countries, but I would say number one is just the beach. And I don't care
Mhm.
what beach that is. It's the beach. It is the ocean. Growing up, I went to the Jersey Shore, Sea Isle City specifically. And I mean, that calms everything.
Yeah.
That changes demeanor, that changes, and so many memories, and thoughts, and friendships, and everything. I mean, that's the kind of sport. I mean, I used to love waking up early down the shore, go to the beach, and just watch it be super glassy, and have really nice mornings there. So I mean, yeah, that if I'm on a beach, I don't care where it is in the world.
Yeah.
Jersey City, Jersey Shore specifically, but I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be at peace. I'm going to be calm there. Yeah.
Man, I like that. I mean, so you're before GTL then, like the whole.
Yeah, yeah, I was. That's a little bit North Jersey, and
Oh,
and
that's North
just
Jersey.
and
Yeah.
just to say, most of those guys weren't even from Jersey, but
Oh,
that
no,
was
you
at
were there.
what? Yeah, yeah. One of the guys is from, Paulie D's from Rhode Island. Um, Ronnie, I think's from New York. Vinny's from Long Island. But point being, yeah. But that was at the tail end of my college career, and being Italian guy. That yeah, I definitely got called out on that a lot. Yeah.
Oh, good. So I got only three more questions, and I'll get you out of here. What's happening in the world right now that you think we're not paying enough attention to?
Man, what's not happening in the world
I
right
know
now?
there's a
Oh
lot of shit
man.
happening right now.
Um, hmm. I think just as a country, I think I mean there's so many different issues. I think the number one thing is just the realization that there are powers that be that are playing that division game, and trying to keep the masses apart, so that they can manipulate things. And I think
Yeah,
that's the thing that people have to remember, and to remember that the person to their right, the person to their left are people. And
yeah,
if you typically have a conversation, you know throw anything out that you see on Twitter and the internet and everything like that. But if you actually have a conversation with people, you'll
Yeah.
probably have more in common with them than you don't.
Right.
And you're probably more aligned with them than you think. So don't sit around. And I think there's a lot of people right now sitting with a lot of stuff on their chest as they walk around outside that they don't like this person and they don't like this person and they don't like that person and they
Right.
haven't spoken a word to them. They don't know them. And, hate on your heart is always going to weigh you down and it's never going to be anything productive.
Yeah, especially with us being in this era of, like you said, people will post something. They'll post something on social media, know that person, see them in person, and completely ignore them from a post.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, just have the conversation with the dude or the girl that to figure out where their head is at. Because
Mhm.
if somebody's reposting a video or a clip of something, that doesn't mean that that's exactly what they believe, through and through. There could be some more behind that. And it's just like you said, having that conversation.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, sometimes it's like thinking about, why they posted and talking to that person and, and
Yeah.
sometimes, it's ignorance. It's, they got fed nonsense in their head or their algorithm is all screwy. And I mean, all that stuff plays on people's heads. And then you
Yeah.
talk to them and they're like, well, actually, maybe I don't think that. Maybe I don't believe in that.
Hmm.
Maybe that's not right and I just posted that because I thought everybody around me that's what they thought.
Yeah.
So it's weird times, man, and the AI is not helping it out now that those videos are getting too damn real.
Whoa. Yeah. We have to get back to reality. Like
Mhm.
we're really far out right now. And I think that's really why I'm trying to do this too. It's like, hey, let's get out and hear other people's opinions and not necessarily watch everything we see on social media or follow everything we see on these different news networks.
100%. And my thought and my hope is that everything's going to come full circle. And like you're in the sales world
Yeah.
where like there is now you're going to be able to outbound with SDRs and questioning just through the internet and some AI manipulator. But I think it's going to come full circle where now all of a sudden you're going to have to get back in front of people to close a deal, and you're going
Yeah.
to have a real conversation with people, and people are going to miss that human element because everything's going to be so cold because this generative AI is just it is just going off of information it's fed. It can't give you that human feel, that human approach, and that human understanding of being in front of somebody.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I 100% know it's coming back to that human aspect. I mean, I did. I've tried a ton of different sales methods and tapped into the technology. But what I've been seeing is with the people I've been sitting down with lately, they're like, "Man, I appreciate you just coming to sit down with me because all the estimates I've been getting is just all sent through this email, and then it's like AI follow up. Everybody can tell, it's
Hmm.
like an AI
Yeah,
follow up, and people at the end of the day like talking to people. You know,
sure.
when
Yeah.
you have that human interaction, it just feels good.
100%. 100%.
What's a topic people are afraid to talk about but should?
Afraid to talk about. I think there's a lot right now.
Yeah,
Um, I think hmm, me specifically, I think it's anything that makes somebody feel vulnerable. Realistically, overall, and people don't want to talk about that or even tell people how something makes them feel. Like
yeah,
um, going back to what people post and stuff like that. Sometimes that's coming from a place of like because somebody hurt them or made them feel kind of some kind of way, and all of a
yeah,
sudden now like people direct hate towards a certain group or
yeah,
because one person that all of a sudden represented that religion, that ethnicity,
yeah,
and now all of a sudden that like they're going to paint the broad stroke that all people like that are like that. And that's just, it goes back to that idea, like we're all humans and having those conversations. So I think that's what people are afraid to talk about. People are afraid to talk about things that make them, feel some kind of way. And so then all of a sudden it gets um, translated into something else, and that's where I think you get the hate and the BS that you're seeing today.
Yeah, it compounds because you're not having the conversation. Yeah,
Hmm.
totally. That's real, man. Man, Ed, this has been awesome time with you, man. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last question here for you. And I think you kind of touched on it already, but what's next for you and what are you currently working toward?
What's next? So, like I said, getting back, working on a book. So I wrote a part of a book a long time ago called Rise Like the Phoenix. So a group of us, about 7 or 8 different people, all different stories of overcoming different situations. And
Yeah.
we distributed those mainly through like rehabilitation hospitals, but still around on Amazon. And then ultimately I want to have my own book. And that's what I'm like, I don't know, 50 pages deep on that. And then been going to this Toastmasters. I'm going to give a speech tomorrow. I've been, and working on that and just becoming a better communicator. And
Yeah.
then finally, in terms of career, been playing around with a lot of different stuff, but it looks like hopefully it's coming to a close. I'm looking in the, in the tech field, and it might actually take me back out of Phoenix and hopefully um, sooner than later get back East Coast with my girlfriend.
Nice, man.
Mm.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best, man. And I want to stay connected with you because I think there are some kids that would, or even adults that would love to reach out to you and to be able to ask you some questions and have that human interaction.
100%. We should actually exchange like numbers, message
Yeah.
each other, and get each other's numbers. Just not just the Instagram, but like, yeah, man, I'm happy. That is like I said, that's my favorite thing to do. If there's anybody that has questions or going through something, and just looking for information on maybe what to do next.
Yeah.
If any kind of guidance I can provide, I'd love to be there.
Awesome, man. We'll definitely do that. I'll get you my information over. That's the whole goal here is really just building a community. When I started Team Natural Fit, my brand, it's just like I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do with it, but life has brought to me that bringing people together is ultimately what I love doing and helping people out. And when I was a kid, I didn't necessarily look for the right things, or I just didn't know where to look. And I want to be
Hmm.
able to present things to now that we're in the social media area. It's like, hey, this is real stuff we're putting out here, real people, and you can get involved and ask the question. Don't be afraid. And hearing people's story will help them understand, like, okay, this is a real person. Let me go ahead and reach out and see what I can learn.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that, and yeah, man, that's you know, telling the story or even just kind of talking to younger people trying to figure out about life, like you said. I mean, that's definitely my story where as a younger guy, I didn't know what I wanted or what I wanted to do or even really thought about that. It was just the here and now, and it was
Yeah.
like today I'm gonna go have fun. And what am I going to do tomorrow? I'm going to go have fun. It wasn't ever like, picking up different stuff, whether it be, learning more about, this topic or that topic. I just didn't delve into that stuff. And I wish I had. And like
Right.
that stuff that I look back on, if I could give somebody that impression or that kind of thought process to kind of change, that would mean the world.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, Ed, again, appreciate it, brother. Hope you. It's still daylight over there, right?
Oh yeah, man. It's about to be 5 o'clock. So now I got
Nice.
to get my cardio in.
Heck yeah, man. Same. Appreciate you, man. I'll shoot my information over to you, and I'm gonna be making this. I'm gonna edit the video, but it's pretty much gonna be through and through on YouTube. I'll make sure I send you the link.
All right, awesome. Awesome. Can't wait. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you. All right, have a good one.